talking to the guy, and we start, I'm talking, and then he's like, wait, Curtis, what do you think this job is? I'm like, oh, and I tell him what I think the job is. He's like, no, this job is for the head of marketing for the entire brand in Manhattan and the 5 boroughs with a budget of $2 million and a salary of 125. And I was like, oh, I'll take 75. I actually talked my salary down to try to get the job. He was impressed. He was like, I tell you, it was just like that.
I'll bring in a really good deal for you, sir. Working at events since 2005, I've always been inspired by people coming together to share ideas. I'm Amanda Younger, and I'll be your host on Happy Hour, where I share a drink and a laugh with guests over stories and our hope for the future of the live event experience. Today, I'm speaking with my good friend Curtis Parks, event producer and owner of Oncoming Traffic Events and Entertainment. Thank you to Tuttletown Distillery. We're drinking the Hudson's Bright Lights Big City New York Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Thanks to high-quality grain from local family farmers and straight-up undiluted mash bills, they're able to create the purest possible expressions of each grain and truly make whiskey the way we want to. Bold, yet refined, artful, and unapologetic. I also want to give another thank you to Cheeky Cocktails. Today, I did this in a batch form, so you guys probably didn't get to see it, but the Cheeky Honey Syrup, as well as the Cheeky Lemon Juice. These are all natural ingredients. When I say lemon juice, it means the juice of a lemon from Cheeky, and that's what makes building cocktails off of their ingredients just so much better. A special thank you to Laxamani Media. You create, we capture. Be sure to continue the conversation with us online at eventspeak.com. Subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify and iHeartRadio, and favorite us on Stitcher to get all upcoming episodes and help others find our show. Be sure to comment below. We love as much feedback as possible in our early stages, and we really mean that. And promotional giveaways in the works, so check back in soon. Together, we can make the difference in live events. I've got a great guest with me today. This is one of my dearest friends, Curtis Parks. Oh my goodness. Curty Kurt, Bojangles. There's Curtix. There's, gosh, I don't know. We called you a lot of things.
He calls me Kurt Tells. I've been called Mr. Giggles. Basically, every tour, I got a new nickname.
That's right.
I got another nickname. Everyone. I was Super Chief on one. Well, we were on a tour, and the people that were running it never took the time to learn our names. They just kept calling us Chief, the 4 of them.
Hey, Chief.
We just went with it, and we're like, oh, he's this chief, he's that chief. And we're like, okay, man.
Oh, man, I love it. Well, today I'm enjoying the Cash for Gold. It's going to be 2 parts Hudson Bright Lights Big Bourbon Whiskey. I've got a little fresh lemon and some honey syrup for my friends Cheeky here. I just juice and syrup and spirits. This is it. So, Curtis, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and what you're drinking for happy hour.
Curtis Parks. I own my own company, Oncoming Traffic Events, and I'm a tour manager, event producer, stand-up comedian, jack of all trades. And I am drinking Stella Artois. This is one of my brands. I work for them, and thank you, Stella Artois. You've paid my rent for quite some time. And Sailor Jerry, and also
double fisting.
We had to go hard. Yo, I'm on Amanda's podcast, my first podcast. I'm on Happy Hour. We're going, and I was like, what do I get this brand? I'm like, I'm just going to go.
Oh, man. So let me cheers your double fisting.
Oh.
Cheers that. Yeah, I'll cheers both. Boom. I love it. That's nice. Oh, yeah. We actually met on the road setting up tents at college campuses. You are a DJ and our MC. You're doing that almost like every other day. But I think you were just doing a lot of crowd work, right?
Yeah, basically did 8. We set up super early. We had to do setup breakdown. I did setup breakdown just like everybody else. But then during the event, I just did tons of crowd work, tons of giveaways. I basically had the shorter form of everyone else's talking points. I had the major points of I had to know the major points of every brand. So I had to know all the stuff we gave away, all the contests, and I would learn the class breakdown on the whatever day we're there too. So we wanted to do, of course, the giveaways during class breaks.
Like during classes, you're still trying to be the hype man. There's like 3 people there. And then during the class break, like 300 people are rushing around and you're like, now's the time for the raffle.
Oh yeah, we had good giveaways too. So like everybody wanted to come. We gave away a guitar. We gave away Xbox 360. That was when,
that's right.
So that's our age a little bit. When 360 was the new, brand new. That was brand new.
Spanking new. Absolutely. That was the biggest thing. And we had Sirius before Sirius actually merged with XM.
We had to explain what satellite radio was to them then.
Yeah, that's right.
That was our first tour. Yeah, that was a good. Definitely lots changed personally and in the whole industry since then. So much has changed
for a little while.
A lot of stuff is the same too. You know, more things change, the more they stay the same too. Basically, give away free stuff. Know your talking points. You know the crowd, who you're talking to, know your competitor,
How do you think that's really shaped your skill set?
Oh, I guess I try to make every event feel special for the people that attended it, like even if there's a ton of people, you want to try to give everybody their moment, make them feel as special as just for them, whether there is like 3 people or a full crowd. I definitely was able to take that into a lot of my other tours. I've worked for everybody from Alizé to Xbox, AT&T to Wells Fargo. I've done, banking to like tech, now I'm mostly in liquor and beer, and also in my comedy too, because I didn't get to practice material, so I had to do crowd work. Like it was up, my material was down here, but my crowd work was like up here, up there with the, I can do sets, in Michigan or New York or down south in Florida and kind of not alienate my crowd. I know to kind of switch it up.
Well, I know that you can talk your way in and out of everything. I think I've even been with you when you've had to talk with, what was it? What was the general market? And you had, I think all we had was like Gatorade or something, and you switched it out. You're like, hey, I'll trade you for like sandwiches and beer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was during the recession. Oh, I remember during the recession, we were sampling some juice. I don't know what to say the brand.
Yeah, that's right. It was juice. It was juice.
Yeah, it was juice. It was an orange juice.
Orange juice,
and it was the recession, and we were like, that was about the most broke anyone, especially it was kind of like now, there was not many events.
That day.
Oh, and we were so broke, we walked. We had to park the truck way down in Brooklyn. Yep. And we didn't even want to get a cab. We're broke. We walked, carried this juice, and I traded the juice for sandwiches. I was like, yo, you want I traded at the store.
This orange juice is actually, you can actually sell this for, I'm giving you a profit here, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
like a whole breakdown. I was so embarrassed. I walked outside, came out, and you're like, so this is the sandwich you wanted, right? I don't know. I got you just like a Modelo. And I was like, get out of here.
But you ate that sandwich. You ate that.
I did. I was like, oh my God, he is like the worst. I can't believe you're my roommate. Then I ended up going like, oh my God, yay!
Oh, that was the wheeling deal.
You even talked yourself into some pretty good job interviews. Wasn't there like a high level executive? I forgot what it was.
Oh yeah, this is a good story.
For a company.
Yeah, this is a good story. This must have been when I first moved to New York. Left, what I thought the job was, setting up a party, brand the bar out, get the bar to set up a special, book comedians or book a DJ, book a band, have a night sponsored by that show. I was like, I can do that. I did that in college. No problem. Mm-hmm. I get to the first job interview and I kill the job interview. We hardly talked about the job much. Actually, I remember I killed that interview. I didn't even talk about anything, So I get to, then it's like right in the meatpacking district. This must have been 06, 07, So I'm doing the second interview. I'm like, oh, I got this. This is cool. I basically did this in college. I can do this, no problem, And it's a nicest job interview. Like it was at the penthouse at like the W in the meatpacking district. And I was like, this is the nicest place I've ever had a job interview at the time. And I'm talking to the guy. And we start, I'm talking, and then he's like, wait, Curtis, what do you think this job is? I'm like, oh, and I tell him what I think the job is. He's like, no, this job is for the head of marketing for the entire brand in Manhattan and the 5 boroughs with a budget of $2 million and a salary of 125. And I was like, oh, I'll take 75. I actually talked my salary down to try to get the job. He was impressed. He was like, I tell you, it was just like that.
I'll bring in a really good deal for you, sir.
I'm not qualified. I'm a bargain.
Fantastic. Oh God, I love that.
That also was
talk yourself right into it.
Almost got it too.
Well, I mean, that kind of brings up a good point, which is, I mean, you say you're always out there hustling, which is great. So I know the gig economy has been hit really hard with the current pandemic, but you've been currently pretty lucky. Your current client has kept you on through, all these furloughs and stuff like that. Have you had any events? I know that like COVID's gone up, it's gone down, and now it's going back up again. Have you had any experience doing events in 2020?
We've done a couple since COVID, but mostly it's been kind of asset like driving. We've kind of where usually we do a big event, and my normal summer would have been doing big music festivals, Firefly, Governor's Ball, basically all these big, huge events that just don't even exist right now. That we don't even know when we'll see, 100,000 person music festival again. I don't even know, when will we, I don't know when we'll see that. But now we're kind of doing everything's a little bit smaller and kind of some of the assets and the vehicles that they need for different markets. Now we're kind of taking over some other brands too, and some of the smaller tours and doing assets for them also. So, and then of course there's more cleanliness and disinfectant and branding signs, stay 6 feet away, and branded masks. So that's probably the biggest thing. That's the new giveaway is like whatever mask, whatever the branded mask, we always have disinfectant. We, everybody's wearing gloves. So, we got the temperature, taking people's temperatures at events. It also kind of all equals out. I mean, because, years past, there's weeks we work, 50 to 70 hours a week, straight for months. And so it kind of evens out now. We got a little bit of time, and we'll be there ready for when COVID is done, or when we can do more events and when they do build back up. So, we're trying to find those gaps. And then personally, kind of producing some shows on my own also. Trying to make some things happen. Nice.
Well, I know. So kind of in this downtime, I like to call it a time of reflection. Some people are calling it the event industry pause. But gosh, you've done a big purge, and you've moved during this time. And you're on the road now. Is that right?
I realize what it is for me. This is just a straight hard reset. This is just a hard reset. I feel like almost the whole country is going through a hard reset and really evaluating what's important and what we need to do, So I realized I couldn't really sit still. I can't. I'm not that person. I got to do something. So during COVID, during the lockdown, I repainted my apartment, including the ceiling. I repainted the ceiling. That's how bored I was. Just like, this ceiling's a little yellow. Let me repaint. I repainted the ceiling. I gotta do stuff. It was ridiculous. I just had to do something. But and also one of my other hustles, which, being a tour manager, I Airbnb'd the spot, and that was one of my hustles, because you got to have, in the gig economy, you got to have mad hustles. One quote that I like with the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, he says the average millionaire has 7 forms of income. So I was trying to get the 7. Airbnb was one, but of course with COVID, that deaded. That dried up real quick. So I moved. It just didn't make any sense to keep it. I was getting crazy rent. So purged out, got rid of all the kind of stuff. So even full circle, TKO tour, I ended up buying a lot of the experiential stuff from Mr. Youth when they closed their experiential side. So I bought all their sound. I bought all their staging. I bought the lights. I bought everything fun. I bought all the fun party stuff, right? I still own that stage. I actually have used it multiple times during COVID, actually. Yeah, rented it out because there's shows. People still need comedy, but comedy had to be outside. So even the Black Lives Matter show, I did the first one. I produced that, performed on it. And the last one this year on the Black Lives Matter mural on Fulton Street. I brought the stage, I brought the lights, made it happen twice. Oh, that was rhyme.
I love it. Is this actually been a part of oncoming traffic? I know that
yeah, that was my own thing. Yeah, that was something I did.
In oncoming traffic, you actually created that back in Florida State University, right? So you actually created it as like an entertainment company there, which is amazing to already have that entrepreneurial spirit in college already, gathering people and trying to create something, which I think is great. And kind of tell us a little bit more about creating that in college and basically how it's evolved.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, in Florida State, I studied. I wanted to get in the film school, but they only take so many people, so I kind of didn't quite get in the film school. But I made my own major. I got a film studies degree and a theater degree. So I'm really fighting for maybe 500 people for what's probably male parts were probably 12, a dozen, maybe 2 dozen tops, depending on if it's a big play, and I didn't get one. So, so I started it almost as a necessity to do a show, do comedy. And I got into doing improv at community college. And I saw Boom Chicago when I was in Amsterdam. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Improv is, I like this. This is cool. So I started as a group, as just do our own show. And it became like a weekly thing. We had a show off campus. We charged cover. I actually paid my comedians. We had the venue, and then later we would make it a school club and got funding from the school also. So all the stuff, then we started collecting the money instead of paying. We collected it as a group, and then we would take that money to cover all the stuff that we couldn't use with the school money. Like, we did Miami Improv Festival. We did Dirty South Improv Festival. We did Gulf Coast Comedy, and I would pay for gas and hotels. And then we would do that. We brought Michael Gelman from Second City that he directed with Gilda Radner. Chris Farley, all these heavy hitters that would later be, SNL legends. And luckily I didn't know how big Michael Gelman was when we actually hired him.
You're like, I got this guy.
I was naive enough to be like, thanks, Grandpa. Like I'm walking around campus and everyone's like, oh, you brought your grandpa. He actually wanted to go to a college party, and I took him. I was like, all right, I'll show up with my grandpa. But
I'll bring your dad.
Later, I realized how big deal this guy was. It was like, oh, this guy is huge. This guy is, and we used school money to have him like train us in improv. So I learned how to use funding and how to make it stretch and how to get help from other facilities, how to facilitate help from the university, how to facilitate with the community that paid cover, how our fans, how do we do what we need to do to get to that next level, and that was, I had to learn about budgeting. When you're asking for money from the school, you have to have some sort of idea what you're going to use it for, so that was,
I mean, I know I make fun of you and your education at Florida State, but can't deny you learned a lot.
I learned a lot. I know. I felt like I learned a lot from being told no, and like, oh, no, you can't. Okay. Like even the theater school at one point was like, oh, improv's not theater. We're not going to, okay, I'll go make it a club. And it actually worked out better. But it survived it as Oncoming Traffic a couple of years after I graduated, and I had formed a group in New York too, but then it got in the red real quick because I wasn't getting free rehearsal space like you do in college. I was having to pay for rehearsal space in New York. I was paying for the theater, I was paying for everything. I was paying, Yeah, it got in the red real quick. That's when I was like, oh, let me do stand-up. That's just me. That is just me. I can rehearse anywhere.
No. You've been doing comedy and stand-up in like multiple cities. I think you even did one internationally, if I recall.
Yeah, right? I did London last year. I did 5 shows in London. It was really cool. Yeah, we did Angel comedy, Rising Star comedy. It was really cool. It was super fun. And I do a little bit of politics in my comedy, and they understand our news almost better than we do. Like they understand our even Constitution. I was talking about amendments. They're like, oh yeah, it was really fun. There's so many coins. I've never carried around so many coins in my life.
In America, our coins are called Bitcoins, and they are digital. Like even the thing that's called coin isn't a coin. And
they're not even proportional to the size of their value. Like our quarter is the most value. They get bigger. There's like the big ones like worth nothing. The little ones worth $10. This one's worth this, and then there's like a half pence. Like what are these fractions? Like I thought you had.
I thought the penny was bad. What's a half pence?
Yeah.
Right. Well, how hard has it been for you with bars being closed? I know some of them are struggling just to stay open with the low capacity. The ones that are able to have a kitchen and can serve food, they're able to have like 25%. I know that they're struggling. Gosh, how's the comedy scene going?
The comedy scene in New York is straight underground. It is not legal to actually do a comedy show. And some of the outside shows are happening. They're just happening. The Black Lives Matter show was more of it wasn't an inside show. It was outside. But inside shows are really not a thing. There is good comedy to be found outside and underground in New York. So please support live comedy. Everybody out there, please support live comedy. Wherever you are, wherever you get this, support live comedy. Please.
I have a couple of guests that I had on back in the summer, and they were talking about, you can't stop performance. Like we have to perform. We'll just perform in the park. We'll perform somewhere and we'll ask for Venmo. That way there's contactless. We'll perform somewhere and we'll have that tip jar out there.
The parks, like a lot of parks around the city are doing one. This comedian I met was doing one at Cooper Park on Mondays. There was one in Central Park for a little bit, but you can't. Then you've got to worry about amplified sound because then the permits, come into play. So it's been a weird, tough time in New York, but New York will survive. It's been tough, but it'll come back. Some people are doing Zoom. People are still writing more. So in some ways, like for me, I still had to do something creative. So I've been writing more personally, like privately. I wrote a script. I wrote my first screenplay. That was cool for a contest during COVID.
Yeah.
I wrote it. Got pretty good reviews. And I did extended. It was like one of those midnight. What was it called? Midnight writing contest or something like that. And you had a week or two, and they gave you a couple parameters. So it'd be like a new script. So it was just for that, and that worked out.
Nice.
The formatting, because I'd read many a script, but I never wrote one. I'd only wrote for my own voice. As a comedian, I'd only wrote for me.
Right.
So it was a nice, good exercise to write for other characters. That not just my own voice, which is a different exercise, especially for a comedian. I've always assumed I was saying what I would write. So it's been good. I
know. I've had also another guest who's also a writer. He said, get ready for a creative boom. All the writers are out there writing.
Oh yeah, I do think there's gonna be some good stuff that'll come out of this creatively, because everybody's still got to create. Like that's when you you just have to, and that's kind of what some people are like, oh, I don't know about comedy. I don't know if I could do that. I'm like, if you have to do it, then you can do it. Like if you don't have to do stand-up comedy, then don't. It's just such a struggle. Like you just have to do it. Like everyone I know that's a real comic is still finding a way to get stage time during a worldwide plague. Like we're pandemic, I guess not necessarily plague, but they're finding ways to do it. Some are doing well, like some are really, producing their own shows. We got to do those, like I said, the Black Lives Matter show. A lot of comedians have actually, some have been doing pretty well. My buddy Dave Lester's produced a ton of shows because the shows need to happen. People want to laugh. Everyone, especially as election year, 2020, everything. Laughter is so important right now. So there have been shows, and they are being made. People are doing Zoom shows. That's not really my forte. I didn't really feel like doing a Zoom comedy show. But they are out there. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that.
I'm not feeling this.
But
I do have one question, and that is about the parks. You were talking about comedians doing things in the parks. If I recall, I know Dave Chappelle just did the SNL monologue and killed it. Was amazing. And if I recall, he would do Washington Square Park. Like Washington Square Park was a place where there would be like these random comedy moments in the park by the fountain.
It was definitely early in his career. I don't know how many people do comedy there right now. I'm sure someone is. I have never performed comedy. Actually, funny story that you say this. My first comedy set I ever did in New York was on the L train. Actually, I did it. I swear to you, we're taking the train back, and everyone's creatives. A lot of people answer the same Craigslist ad, right. Because there's a way freelance. You're just doing anything. So, there was a singer, there was this other performer. They're like, oh, you do stand up, you do this, and they were like, oh, you should do it, da, da, da. I was like, well, you should sing, da, da, da. And then we're on the train like super late, and then the person that's with us is like, next up, Curtis Parks. And they just announced me on the train like that. So I'm like, okay, all right. So I just do my bit, and they laugh. The people I was hanging out with, they laughed. They enjoyed it. But everyone else on the train was like, why are you talking? Stop talking. Why are you talking on the train? Like, I don't want to be quiet and grumpy like all the other New Yorkers. I was not a jaded New Yorker yet, so everyone was like, oh, but the people I was with, they laughed. Everyone else was like, all right, man.
Trains, I like it. Yeah, I think
my first comedy set in New York on the L train.
I think there's I think it's just culturally known there's like a no speaking zone on the train. Like people talk and you're like, why are you talking? And then, I don't know, a band comes on. Is there anything, what else is on the horizon for oncoming traffic, for Curtis Parks, just in general? What are you looking for or hoping for in the future here?
I'm just trying to think the whole country, doing this hard reset, just seeing what's important in my own life and making time for that. Like, I've always done work around my life. That's kind of why we got into, at least why I got into the gig economy. I've always done the work to support my creative side. Like even before the recession back in the day, I did a Shakespeare play and rehearsed during the week. And to do a Shakespeare play in New York, I got paid like nothing. I got paid nothing. Right? I think I actually paid. I think I had to pay. I think I had to buy them
so that you could be a part of it. Yeah.
I think I had to buy one of my props or something. Oh, we got to tell the story of when we actually became. For people who don't know, this was when we were driving TKO. We're driving in the car. This is when me and you, I think, we really became friends.
This is overtime. I'm getting another drink.
Oh yeah, get a drink. And we're driving. I'm driving. You're navigating. So for some people that don't know, they just had GPS all their life. We had MapQuest. MapQuest was the brand new thing. Where you got to print the map and the directions at the hotel. I'm like, wow, this is the breakthrough of technology.
Excuse me, I have to use your business center. I have to print out some very important files. It's called directions.
So back, we'll kind of get it back to events in the event world, not just us, but this is about us in the event world. And this is, you're still having to take the almanac and the MapQuest. And I remember we're going to, I want to say Bowling Green or somewhere. Anyway, we're going to a college campus.
Ohio.
Oh yeah, it was in Ohio somewhere.
Definitely Ohio.
It was definitely in Ohio, and we went to Ohio so many times. But we're going through Ohio to the campus, and we're going one way. You're saying it's this way. And the manager and assistant manager pull up in the van like, we got to turn. And I'm driving the truck. And you're like, no, it's this way. They're wrong. And I'm like, and I'm looking, the boss is telling me one way. You're telling me one thing. And I'm like, well, we're partners in this, wrong or right. And I think you're right. But even if you're wrong, we're a team. And I'm like, well, you were right.
And I was.
Of course you were right. You know,
I was like,
so,
they're reading the MapQuest wrong. I have learned how to read MapQuest. That was not our exit.
You were correct.
Because I'm doing MapQuest along with the map, which I had gotten. It was like this big, one of the trucker atlas ones that's laminated. So if you spill anything, it's still okay. I had both out. I was like, I got this. No, they're wrong. Listen to me. I am your navigator. I am your shotgun. I'm telling you where to go. And you're like,
okay.
No. And they're like, beep, 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 beep. And we're like, no. And I go, I know what they're reading it wrong. I know exactly what's happening.
And we were right. They cut.
Do not listen to them.
Yep. I had the truck parked and open we had the big box truck parked and open by the time they caught back up. We're like,
that's right.
We're here.
Did it. I got it. And they're like, oh, sorry. I thought the thing was the thing. And when it said it, I was like, I know you did. I know. Yep. You almost sent us on a goose chase. That would have been wrong.
Yep. Maybe
wouldn't have been on time. And you're welcome. That would be on time.
A pilot's got to trust their navigator. So
that's right. Gotta trust your navigator.
These new kids don't trust. New kids don't know the hustle. They just got it on their phone.
I think we've seen I haven't seen North Dakota yet.
Yeah, I only got 6 states.
Every time I have to go, someone hasn't gone to South Dakota, and we're like, well, you got to go to South Dakota. But, so North Dakota, I have missed out on. North Dakota, you're on my list. I'm on my way to North Dakota.
Is that your only state left?
It's North Dakota and Alaska.
Oh, yeah, I got Alaska, both Dakotas, Washington.
You haven't been to Seattle?
No, that's on my list. Yeah, I definitely want to go. As far north on the west, I went to Eugene, Oregon. That was as far north as I've been on the West Coast.
Love Oregon.
Across. Yeah, I liked Oregon. I didn't get to go to Portland. I'd like to go to Portland.
You should.
I only got 6 states left. I only got 6.
My cousin in Portland, he took me to an amazing Mexican restaurant. It was delicious Mexican food. And then he told me to go to the restroom. The restroom is shared with an exotic dance. So you have to walk, basically, it's a door that says like, you can only go to the restroom if you're 21 and up, which is really funny because you just had a burrito and you're like, and it's like, no, you have to be old enough to go to the restroom here. And sure enough, you like walk in, and I guess I look like the deer in the headlights. And I think that's what my cousin Keith, this is a shout out to Keith Younger. What up? I think that's what he wanted me to do. And in the middle of the day, like a bunch of guys and some chairs and a dancer. And she's like, hi, the restroom's that way. And I go, thanks. And all the guys are like, cool. I'm like, what just happened? Go to the restroom, come back out, and he was just kind of like, so how would you like the restroom? And I was like, the restroom was scenic. More scenic than I was expecting. And he's like, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I do like those special vibes of each city. Like I want to see all the country, all of the different cultures that we even have in the same great country of ours. Even though we it is an election year. A lot of us disagree about a lot of stuff, but I do love this country. When you had Aaron on, you guys talked about Verb, and I ended up being the tour manager of one of the other teams.
That's right.
And and that was one of the first times I really felt like I'm not only am I marketing a product, but I'm also getting kids to really be active. That program really opened my eyes. Like, oh, I can do marketing and make the world a better place. And one of those times I remember one of the places we went to the skate park, and we would give out the balls there and hang out with all the kids playing. And there was this girl, But this girl could draw. She drew this cool anime figure on her ball and showed us. We're like, oh, that's cool. Draw on the ambulance, you know? And we let her draw, get her a pen, and come to find she draws this really cool girl. But of course, you could kind of think of like her own mentality of herself. She drew on the bottom of the back by the exhaust pipe, like the very bottom, almost the ground of the ambulance, and drew this super cool little thing, right? And we're like, you know what? We've been saving the door. No one has drawn on the door yet. The door's yours. And she's like, what? I was like, yeah, take the door. Whatever you want to draw on the door. And what was cool, she's drawing it. And before she's done, all the kids at the skate park stop skating, stop playing. And they become a crowd behind her. And what's cool is they're quiet. They're just watching. So she doesn't even know. So she's drawing this big, huge thing, which is, anyway, she drew it, and the whole park, like dozens, maybe even 100 kids were just watching her. And then she finishes like, and draw and turns around, and she doesn't know they're watching. She doesn't know. She just, you know, she turns around, and the whole park, they're like, oh, that's cool. Wow. She looks around, and everyone's like, oh, wow, what's your name? And everyone, and that was the whole point of that program, was like, hey, just these kids skate, you play basketball, you draw, you play chess, whatever you do that and go with it, you know? Yeah. And that was a time like, oh, that was, I really hope she has as fond a memory as I do about it, because I really believe she did. She had a great day, and all the kids were like, oh, that's awesome. And she's like, oh, yeah, my name. Yeah, it was awesome. It was the coolest thing on the ambulance. So how long ago? She's probably in her early 20s. She's probably in college or graduated college by now.
Come find us. Gifted girl from Louisville that was part of her.
They're definitely gifted.
We want to share your gift with the world. You have inspired our guest. You are now inspiring me. Yeah, anyways, awesome. I think that's the best way for us to go on. I'm excited about more things from Curtis Parks. I feel that I love that you're creating as well. You are an amazing creator. And I want you to keep talking yourself in and out of amazing things.
Oh, thank you.
That's also my second drink for the night. I love you. Good night.
Love you too.
Wait, we got to do a dance. There's an outro music.
Oh, yeah, we got to.